spiritual side, I have a question for you today. Have you ever stumped your toe on something that you knew was there, or tripped over something that you've seen 1,000 times? Well, my son was doing that for a while, and he decided to prank me on YouTube recording my reaction. And there were some shoes in the middle of the floor that he tripped over, fell flat on his face. I mean, it looked like a serious injury and something that was unnecessary that did not have to happen. So my normal compassionate response was not what took place. I responded with toughness, and I said, stop tripping over stuff like that, move the shoes. And when I went to Giles' school, kids were coming up to me saying, stop tripping over stuff like that, stop tripping over stuff like that. You know, I guess they saw it. But it kept saying it over and over, and it became a spiritual thing for me. And I thought about, we need to stop tripping over stuff like that in our lives. I mean, there's a time that we do need the Lord's compassion and His mercy to help us through situation, but there's also the times when we just got to stop tripping over small things. And I was thinking about, when you think about tripping over stuff like that, what do I mean? I mean the obvious things in our lives that we know are going to make us fall. Old habits, old patterns, temptations. You've got to remove those things to get them out of the way. Because if you leave the shoes in the middle of the floor, you're going to trip over them. Maybe not when the lights are on, but certainly when the lights are off. Why was I tough on Giles? Because I wanted to wake him up, for him to be vigilant and strong and able to withstand the enemy. Remember in Jeremiah, the Lord asked, if you stumble in a safe place, how are you going to be able to navigate the dangers of the Jordan? If you are running with men on foot and they are wearing you out, how are you going to be able to run with horses? In other words, the Lord has greater things for us to do, greater territory for us to chart, and you cannot do it if you continue to trip over small things. So let us decide to rise up this Resurrection Sunday above all of those small things that have caused us to trip and step into God's greatness for us. Let's do it together. Thank you so much for joining us for the spiritual side, and I hope I see you next week.
Epilepsy can affect anyone with a brain.
It does not discriminate.
It does not care about
your race,
your gender,
your age, your religion.
If you have a brain,
you can get epilepsy. Period.
But here's something that's just as important to know.
Anyone with a brain can affect epilepsy.
So let's use our brains to do just that.
Let's change the way people think about epilepsy.
The way they think about seizures.
To fund more support and care for people with epilepsy.
To know basic seizure first aid.
And save more lives.
To do more innovative brain research.
To create a society where those who live with epilepsy,
like me,
can be open about it.
To find cures.
To find cures.
To find cures.
Because if all of us can get epilepsy,
all of us
can end epilepsy.
We just need to use our brains.
I'm using my brain to end epilepsy.
By creating awareness.
By advocating for my son and for myself.
By taking care of my child.
For Scarlett and Jasper.
Let's use our brains.
Let's use our brains.
Let's use our brains to end epilepsy.
Food. It's an art, a passion, something we celebrate. It brings us together and tells us we're not so different after all. It's how we share and how we love. Food. It's one of life's greatest pleasures. But sadly, for many, food is merely part of a day-to-day struggle, something that must be obtained and consumed in order to survive. In America, 1 in 6 children are food insecure, meaning that they often run out of food and go hungry. But the good news is, people are getting together like never before to end childhood hunger. Today, we're here for great food, good friends, and the happiness they bring. But we're also here to join with Feed the Children, an organization dedicated to ending childhood hunger and improving people's lives. Working with like-minded companies, Feed the Children delivers food and essentials to partner organizations across the nation. Organizations that struggling families rely on to make it through hard times. Feed the Children promotes education with backpacks and school supplies for children who can't afford them, and runs teacher stores in 5 states. Stores where teachers can get the supplies they need at no cost. They also have summer feeding programs, so when school is out and lunches are no longer available, children still get the nutrition they need to grow and be healthy. And when disaster strikes, Feed the Children is there, delivering just the kind of food and supplies families need to get back on their feet. And Feed the Children works with local communities in 10 different countries to ensure that children get proper nutrition. They help children stay healthy with vitamins and deworming medications, and provide clean water, promote good hygiene and health practices, and help parents become self-reliant. But there's still a lot of work to be done. Good food is the foundation to building healthy lives and promising futures. And that's why we're here. Because you love great food, and you understand food's importance to everyone.
For many young men, the road to a good education and career begins with a single, simple step: registering with the Selective Service. Registration is required for many college loans, grants, and scholarships, job training programs, and millions of jobs. In many places, you need to register at the time you get your driver's license. Be sure to check. Fortunately, it's easy. You can get help at your school, find a mail-in form at the post office, check the box on the FAFSA form, or register online at sss.gov, where you can also learn more about taking this important step.
Games are made to be played on the pool table, not with our children's life and education. And that's why I'm running for school board representative in District 3. My name is Cleveland Harris, and this is what I have fought for in Fort Worth ISD. I fought for the African American Hispanic curriculum. I fought for the de-escalation classes to be brought to the school system. Now, with the de-escalation classes, we have had 63% of our girls in the school district that have been suspended. We brought an information resource center. We're working on right now is the CTE classes for the schools. With the CTE classes, we're talking about career technology education. With that, we have to be real about this. Our children are not all going to college. They need a trade where they can step out into the world and start working. I know how important education is because I was raised by a single parent, which was my father. I had 2 siblings. I was 3, my sister was 2, and my younger brother was 9 months old. My father couldn't read or write. So education to me has always been important because I didn't want to be in the factor of not knowing what was going on in my life. That's why games are meant to be played on the pool table, not with our children's education or their lives. Vote for me, Cleveland Harris, District 3, School Representative. See you at the polls. Early voting starts April the 22nd. Voting day is May the 4th. My name is Cleveland Harris, and I want to be your school representative for District 3.
Yeah, my name is Madison Hogan. I'm a photographer for Levita News, the Black Voice. I'm here at the Bernie Sanders rally to check him out, see what his platform is, see what he's talking about, and talking to some of the people.
What do you think about the crowd today?
Oh, it's a big crowd.
Big crowd.
And they still coming.
Yeah.
By the time you get here, this park will be filled.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
Okay, well, thank you, man.
All right, thank you.
Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free?
Yes!
And the home of the
should be getting somebody else to come up, so nobody won't be waiting. Yeah, instead of just waiting.
Come on, Bernie! Come on, Bernie! Get out here!
Yes, ma'am!
Please welcome to the stage, Colonel.
I thought you were going to say Bernie. I have no idea who these people is. He looks familiar though, his face is.
Good afternoon, Fort Worth, Texas.
Good afternoon!
I'm the CEO of a company called Vision 2. We're one of the fastest growing companies in Dallas, Texas, and I wholeheartedly support Bernie Sanders. To be honest with you, until 2015, I had never donated to a campaign or volunteered. All I did was vote. I was apathetic. I got up off the bench because of Bernie Sanders. I donated, I volunteered, I opened my office, provided computers, phones to anybody who wanted a phone bank for Bernie Sanders.
Yes,
Because I believe Bernie Sanders is good for Texas and the rest of the United States.
Yes!
Bernie Sanders is one of those rare people I think all Texans can respect. Bernie is a man of principle.
Yes, he is.
Bernie represents a once-in-a-generation opportunity to elect a president who has always had the best interests of the people in his heart. He has campaigned tirelessly for health care, for social justice, for economic equality.
Yes.
He's fought against climate change. He's fought for social justice, and he's fought for criminal justice reform.
Yes.
Not just this election, not just in the last 2 to 3 years, but for decades.
Yes, he has. Yes.
He has inspired hope in so many of us to remember that this is our country and we decide what kind of country.
At the Bernie Sanders campaign going on right here. Back here. I'll show you guys the shirts that they have and all of that. And as you can see. Big Bernie Sanders shirt, my Star Wars. And they got all kinds of stuff. Different hats.
Had to do with
And on this side, you have the counter protest. They're trying to protest on this side. So what have we got here today?
This is Healthy Texas.
Okay.
Healthy Texas Act is a bill in the state legislature that will provide health care for all Texans. With nutrition and natural inherent. It's made it through committee and we're ready for each of the House.
Okay.
And so we're collecting signatures today for support for the petition for Healthy Texas.
All right. And what you do? The information for you. Okay. Okay. Send that to you.
Like my husband got a revolution.
Okay. Yeah, so we're our revolution. We were born from the Bernie Sanders campaign. What we're all about is bringing home Bernie's ideas. So we're popularizing the ideas like Medicare for All, which now has 70% of Americans support, 80% Democrats and 52% of Republicans. Right. We also fully support for Green New Deal, for ending college debt, particularly business and all their free public college. We also really have to go after voter suppression. It's becoming a bigger and bigger issue, especially when we see what Texas House and Senator are doing. We also have to be gerrymandering. The simple fact of the matter is this is a once in a 20-year opportunity that we have. can educate about these issues. This is why it's important. That's why we need to know their values. Okay. That's what Revolution is. You can learn more at ourrevolutiontx.com. Okay. Well, thank you so much for giving me the information. And give me a card and I'll put that on the screen. Perfect. You gotta put this. This is gonna be on TV next week. Perfect. I'm the state organizer for Revolution, Texas. Okay. I'm able to give you a call and talk more about it too. Perfect. I appreciate it. Thank you, man. Thank you. On the other side, you have these kind of protesters on this side who are protesting. Yeah, this is like that. This is like protesters are Trump supporters. They're saying, we want Trump back in office. So what we're doing right now is going,
Talk Bernie to me.
oh yeah, I love Mr. Bernie. I need to give me a Bernie hat like they got the Trump hat.
We got the Talk Bernie to me button for $5.
How much is the hat?
That's 20.
20.
Shoot for 35.
Is there anywhere else we can buy that after this is over with? Is there anywhere we can buy it?
There's plenty of Bernie hats right here.
Okay.
All kinds of them.
I'm a big Bernie supporter, so I'm going to support $5.
Yeah, my name's Madison Hogan. I'm a photographer for Ladita News, the Black Boys. I'm here at the Bernie Sanders rally to check him out, see what his platform is, see what he's talking about, and talking to some of the
What do you think about the crowd today?
Oh, it's a big crowd.
Big crowd.
And they still coming.
Yeah.
By the time we get here, this park will be filled.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
Okay, well, thank you, man.
All right, thank you.
Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free?
Yes!
And the home of the
That is so beautiful. You should be getting somebody else to come up, so nobody won't be waiting.
Yeah.
Instead of just waiting.
Come on, Bernie. Come on, Bernie. Get out here.
Yes, now!
Please welcome to the stage, Colonel.
I thought they were going to say Bernie. I have no idea who these people is. He looks familiar though, his face is.
Good afternoon, Fort Worth, Texas. I'm the CEO of a company called Vision 2. We're one of the fastest growing companies in Dallas, Texas, and I wholeheartedly support Bernie Sanders. To be honest with you, until 2015, I had never donated to a campaign or volunteered. All I did was vote. I was apathetic. I got up off the bench because of Bernie Sanders. I donated, I volunteered, I opened my office, provided computers, phones to anybody who wanted a phone bank for Bernie Sanders.
Yes.
Because I believe Bernie Sanders is good for Texas and the rest of the United States.
Yes.
Bernie Sanders is one of those rare people I think all Texans can respect. Bernie is a man of principle.
Yes, he is.
Bernie represents a once-in-a-generation opportunity to elect a president who has always had the best interests of the people in his heart. He has campaigned tirelessly for healthcare, for social justice, for economic equality.
Yes.
He's fought against climate change. He's fought for social justice, and he's fought for criminal justice reform.
Yes.
Not just this election, not just in the last 2 to 3 years, but for decades.
Yes, he has. Yes.
He has inspired hope in so many of us to remember that this is our country and we decide what kind of country.
At the Bernie Sanders campaign going on right here. About her. I'll show you guys all the shirts that they have and all of that. Yeah, now you can see. Big Bernie Sanders shirt, $1. And they got all kinds of stuff. Different hats.
Had to do with
and on this side you have the kind of protesters. They're trying to protest on this side. So what have we got here today?
This is Healthy Texas.
Okay.
Healthy Texas Act is a bill in the state legislature that will provide health care for all Texans. With vision and total inherent. It's made it through committee and we're ready for it to go into the House.
Okay.
And so we're collecting signatures today for support for the petition for Healthy Texas.
All right. And what you do?
The information for you.
Okay. Okay. This is my view.
Like Martin Luther got our revolution.
Okay.
Yeah, so we're our revolution. We were born from the Bernie Sanders campaign. And what we're all about is bringing home Bernie's ideas. So we're popularizing the ideas like Medicare for All, which now has 70% of Americans support, 80% Democrats, and 52% of Republicans.
Right.
We also fully support for Green New Deal, for ending college debt, particularly business and other pre-public college. We also really have to go after voter suppression. This is becoming a bigger and bigger issue, especially when we see with the Texas House and Senate. We also have to do gerrymandering. The simple fact of the matter is this is a once in a 20-year opportunity that we have. We are 9 seats away from taking back the state house. Wow. If we don't do that, then we get gerrymandered into oblivion for another 40 years. So we are doing everything that we can to educate people about these issues. This is why it's important. This is why we need to know our values. Okay. That's what our revolution is. You can learn more at revolutiontx.com.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for giving me the information. And give me a card and I'll put that on the screen. Perfect. We're gonna put this. This is gonna be on TV next week.
Perfect. Actually, here's why. I'm the state organizer for Revolution Texas.
Okay. I may want to give you a call and talk more about it too.
Perfect. I appreciate it. Thank you, man. Thank you.
On the other side, you have these kind of protesters on that side. Who are protesting? Yeah, this is right there. They said I called the problem. Okay, they're Trump supporters. They're saying, we want Trump back in office. So what we're doing right now is we're going, I didn't even see you. like they got the truck hat.
They got to talk Bernie to me back for $5.
How much is the hat?
That's 20. Shoot for 35.
Is there anywhere else we can buy that after this is over with? Is there anywhere we can buy that?
There's plenty of Bernie hats right here.
Okay.
All kinds of them.
I'm a big Bernie supporter, so I'm going to support my mom.
Recognize that the schools are outdated, that there's no resources for our children, and on top of it all, there's no programs that will push entrepreneurship in the community. So this is what I want to bring. I want to bring literacy finance to the school system. With that program, it will help a child to be able to do their own taxes. It will help a child to be able to learn what contracts are. It will help a child to be able to think for themselves and do for themselves. The day of us pushing for people to work in our community is over. We need to be in a position where our children can step out and do for themselves. If you think about it, it makes sense because it's a no-brainer. And the reason why I say that is that the most important thing right now in the United States is small business, not industrial business, because they're not there. There was a time and day that you used to have businesses that were for big companies, but that's not happening now. Small business is the heartbeat of America. So it makes sense that we start educating at an early age with our children to be able to do for themselves. Second, I want to bring CTE classes, which is Career Technology Education. And the reason why I believe in that is because not everybody is going to college. So I have to be real with you. You either gonna wake up or you're gonna stay asleep to what is really going on. We can sell this fishing bowl that our children are going to college when they are not ready for that. So what I want to do is bring those CTE classes where a child can be in some sort of a business for themselves. Thirdly, I have brought an African-American Hispanic curriculum outside of the school system. And with this curriculum, it's the first of its kind in the state of Texas, and it's recognized. We have to recognize that what our children is going through is called human dignity. I can get in much detail about it, but I do not want to go over talk people, and I just rather give you the facts that human dignity is where it's at. Safe hatred of what our children are going through is where it's at. 4, I believe in de-escalation classes in the school system. And with that, it's because we have 63% of last year of our girls being expelled or being under truancy programs. 86% was our boys. So that tells me there's some psychological and social issues going on. But we need to bring programs that are going to help our children and put them on another level of thinking and rational with themselves. With the de-escalation classes, which is by the TBSI, which is a Texas Behavior Service Initiative. With that, it is our guidelines, an administrative guidelines 10.853. With that guideline, we can do things with our children that you see now in other states are doing. Classes on meditation, breathing exercise, yoga, those type of things are working with our children. 5, we need to start working on nutrition. We cannot no longer be in disparity in a food desert. That's why right now, if you look, I'm out here which is a community garden. And I want you brothers to see this garden. With this garden, we'll be able to provide for our city and for our communities and proper nutrition. Canned food has too much sodium. The juices has too much salt and sugar. Everything about what is going on in food and dietaria is not there, and that's why our children are swelling up and hormones are off the chain. We can't do this no more, brothers and sisters. We have to prepare ourselves to make changes, and the way we make changes, it has to start with schools. I'm working with a brother, and we've had sat down and thought about this, and it has to happen. I'm with a brother named Wayman Brown that I'm promoting, and I'm also with Deborah Peoples that I would love to see the mayor of this city. The reason why I'm with these brothers and sisters is because they see the same thing that I'm seeing. Disparity in the southeast of Fort Worth has to end. We cannot continue to do things the way they've been going on. And it starts with education. And it starts with the laws and rules and regulations. It starts with the funding. It starts with the traffic that we have and the water damage. It starts with the drainage that we have in our communities. Money that's been spent on sidewalks all through the community should have been used in proper water channels throughout the city, but it was not. We cannot continue of what is going on we see. I'm looking at right now, I'm looking at gentrification as all through the community. That's why we don't have grocery stores. That's why we don't have the shopping centers that we need. That's why we don't have public and private businesses in the community. It's because someone doesn't want it happen because they want our land. And they want to take part in destroying what we've been working for so many years to keep. They're putting in $300,000 homes in our community, but no businesses. That doesn't make sense. Anytime that you do anything, it's always going to be a job and a business in that community. Solely what they're doing is building $300,000 homes so the taxes will go up. And that's why the education system is so important. We have to start teaching our children to do for themselves. We have plenty of land in the Stop 6 and Southside Fort Worth, and we need to keep it. And we need to work with our children so they get the best education.
Hey everybody, welcome to Up and Down Magazine TV. We got another great show coming up here tonight on this beautiful Monday night. It is April the 29th. And let me tell y'all, we got a very special guest with us who was getting ready to leave the school district after 30 plus years. I'm going to say 30 plus years. She's been with the school district and she has done a lot with the Fort Worth ISD. We have a very special guest with us. We got Miss Christine Moss live with us on this beautiful, beautiful Monday night. Good evening. Welcome to the show. How you doing?
I'm doing great. How are you?
You know what, Miss Moss, I cannot complain. We gotta talk about this. First of all, I want you to introduce yourself because I know who you are, but I want you to introduce yourself to a whole new audience out there.
Okay. Well, I'm Christine Chadwick Moss, and I've been on the school board now for over 29 years, and it has been a joy. Now, I grew up in Lake Como. I graduated from Fort Worth ISD, but in the Lake Como system.
Okay.
And I'm a child. It was 12 in my family, and I was the 9th child. I attended Texas Wesleyan for my BS, and I got my master's at Texas Women's University.
Okay.
And my career, I was in my career for 50 years as a registered nurse and a state surveyor.
Wow.
And I have 3 children.
Okay.
And 2 grandchildren and 2 great-grandchildren.
Wow.
And I'm married to the former city councilman, Frank Moss.
Yes.
Fort Worth City Council.
I've been knowing him for a long, long time, and trust me, he has been a great city council over the past years and stuff. We got to talk about this, though, Miss Moss, because we got a lot of people in Florida, New York, Chicago, all over that tuning in to us. That's the reason I want you to introduce yourself, let everybody know a little bit about you. But I want to talk to you because, again, like you say, you've been with the school district for 29 years, and now, after 29 years, you have decided that it's time to stop working for the school district and do something different. So tell us, first of all, tell us, how did you come about getting on with the school district?
Well, I worked when I was in as a parent. I was in the school system, you know, with the PTA and those concerned parents, and that's been a long time ago. And because my kids started school out here in the Stopspeck neighborhood where I live currently, and things were just not. You know how you're not pleased with what's happening in the school system with your children.
Yes.
And the neighborhoods and the parents I worked with, they wanted me to run for school board. At that time, I had no clue what it was. I knew you would help improve student outcomes for your children, especially black children.
Right.
And so I said, well, I'll do this. And Mrs. Walton was our school board representative then, and she was a namesake. We have a school built after her and in her honor. And I went to Ms. Walton, and I asked her if she was going to run again. If not, I would want to run for the school board. Okay. And she told me no, she wasn't going to run. So when it was time to file, I went and filed. And a couple of days later, she filed.
Wow.
I wouldn't have run against you. You hadn't told me. And she said, well, I decided to run again. So I lost that first election. Mm-hmm. But I'll support you next time. And sure enough, she did. Wow. And all of those that supported her, they supported me the next time. And so I've had just a great constituency, with mm-hmm. all the help. We have done a lot in our district. District 3 here in Fort Worth. Mm-hmm. And so after all of the years, I've served across Fort Worth, not just District 3. Mm-hmm. When you black, everybody call on you from all other districts.
Yes.
So I've just helped so many. And then, to me, it was just encouragement. And you grow to enjoy working with students and,
right.
Fighting those battles that you have to fight. But all of a sudden, after 29 years, I said, and I traveled with the district and represent the district at the caucus and all of that. And I said, well, I just want to step down because when I travel, I see a lot of young people coming on board now. Mm-hmm. And I thought, about 8 years ago, I had talked to a young man, Quincy. Quentin Phillips. And he came and he said, whenever you step down, let me know. I want to run.
Oh, wow.
And so the last 5 years, I have actually been mentoring him.
Okay.
And I called him and I said, get ready. I'm not running anymore. Mm-hmm. I want to see young energy. I want to see new ideas. I want to see our black boys and black girls, identify with a young person.
Right.
And I could have run again, but I just want to step down and give another person an opportunity,
right.
A fresh start for District 30, mm-hmm. so that we can just move, I think, a lot more rapidly in getting our young boys, now the times, they need somebody to identify with, mm-hmm. talk to them, and work with them, and he's been good with that. And wow. So I'm going to step down. I can still be helpful. I can read to a student, doing, right. Volunteer, something like that. Mm. And so I just decided it was time for me. And I don't want to stay there until I'm sick or, just not doing a good job. I want to come out when I have no low-performing elementary school in District 3. All of our elementary schools are performing above standard.
Wow, so, that is very interesting. I want to talk to you about this too, because not only that, but in 2001 they named a school after you. Let's talk about that.
Oh yes, one of my former teachers from Como. Mm-hmm. She had talked to me after I was on board since 1990. And she said, you need a school named after you. And I said, oh, no, I don't know what that entails. I didn't know anything about that. Mm-hmm. And so she came down, she got a petition and petitioned the board and all of that. And sure enough, Christine Chadwick Moss Elementary is named in my honor. And, that's something that has really stuck with me, mm-hmm. The teachers and how people think great things about you, and right. You don't be thinking about yourself.
Right. I want to ask you this also, because not only do you have a school name after you, but you didn't want to. Have you always wanted to get in the education system? Was this just what you call an accident that you got into the school district? Was it something that you always wanted to do?
No, it was not. Because see, when I was living here in Stop 6, mm-hmm. the children were in school, but there were things missing. We did not get the resources that mm-hmm. we needed for our students. And it was so evident. You could see it across Fort Worth. Mm-hmm. And so the only way you could do is, be strong and get on that board. And so, because I watched Ms. Walton, how she was a strong advocate. And so I said, I'm going to get on that board because we need to educate our kids, but we have to have resources. And so I wanted to do this. It wasn't just a mishap. And then I had kids. I had, 2 children at that time. And then I had 2 that was adults, and then I had a little 3rd grader.
Okay. Wow. So what? I want to ask you this also. What do you want now that you're getting ready to leave after 29 years? What do you want people to know you from doing? Let's talk about that.
Well, I want people to know that I was a school board member that cared about all the children, especially students of color. And I want them to know that I'm that it was an honor for me to serve, and I appreciated all of the individuals that supported me. I was not selfish. I want them to know that the resources we have now, it was a struggle, but we are getting the resources we need. I'm leaving an equity policy in place. I chair the Racial Equity Committee for Fort Worth ISD. Those are things, I want them to know that I worked hard to remove the barriers to learning and achievement in our school district.
So you want this to be your legacy?
Yes. And I was the first black female elected as board president after 125 years.
Whoa, okay.
Thanks to my colleagues on the board. But however, as far as being elected president, the only way that happened was in 2010. I led the effort to go to the Justice Department to have that turned around because board members could not be board president. And so the catalyst and the change in Fort Worth ISD Board of Education to 9 single-member district was my hard work with the help of the school board.
Wow.
It was very difficult, and it took us about 12 or 13 years. But the Justice Department said that it was segregation, discrimination. And so we had then the Board of Education changed to a 9 single-member district board. Then we were able to be president of the board, and that was in 2010, not too many years ago.
Wow. I want to ask you this. I want to ask you this also, Ms. Moss. What's some of the changes coming in 2019, 2020 as far as with the school district? Is there any big changes that Fort Worth needs to know what's going on? Because we want people to know that here in Tarrant County, Fort Worth ISD is one of the biggest school districts in Fort Worth. We want people to know that.
We are. Now, we are making a lot of advances in our students reading on grade level. That's something we are really working hard on. And I think in 2019, 2020, we will be able to really show progress with that. Our bond program, we're building new schools. Here in District 3, the Dunbar High School, we are putting, they're getting $40 million from the bond just for their rehab and redoing the school and upgrading the school with technology and all the modern classes. We're just redoing our schools. I could say renovating, but with the new field house and all of those things that they need, the schools need. And then we're building a new Dunbar Young Men's Leadership Academy.
Okay.
It's going to be refurbished, and it's going to be $38 million placed into that school. But across Fort Worth, all of our high schools are being upgraded. And so we're spending our bond money the way we should. But our academic programs, we are so advanced. We have aviation. We have our lawyers programs. We have our medical programs. We just have so many programs that to offer in Fort Worth ISD. I know I'm missing probably the ones that I just can't remember all of them right now, but we have so much to offer in Fort Worth ISD academically. And, you know, we have 2 single gender schools that are at the top.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, our girls' school and then our Young Men's Leadership Academy.
And those programs are doing very well, right?
Oh, yes, they are doing very well. We have national recognition for those programs in academics like Latin and all of the programs, the Blue Ribbon schools. And they compete on a national level.
I've got to ask you this also, Ms. Moss, and because, like you say, you've been with the school for 29 years. What changes have you seen over the past 29 years since you've been working for the school district?
Well, there have been many changes. I think the most, we have had at one time, we had all of our schools above grade level academically. We didn't have, but out of 140 schools, we only had 2 low-performing schools. And that was when Walter Dansby and Dr. Toko administration, Shirley Breed, and that group of administrators, we had 2 low-performing schools. And then in 2006 and maybe 2010 and 11, we had a new administration, and that's when we started with the low-performing schools and the reading issues. But now we are on an upward trajectory, and the schools are performing well. We're getting national recognition from TEA of the good job that we're doing. We went from 26 low-performing schools down to 10 low-performing schools, and those should be off the map come this fall.
Wow.
So we shouldn't have any low-performing schools. And almost 4 years ago, we hired a new superintendent, Dr. Scribner, and he's for equity.
Okay.
And that has done more for our district and students of color than any other superintendent coming in.
Wow.
Because we created an racial equity policy, and our entire staff over the last 4 years have been training on equity. We have a company that's come in, and they've trained the employees, and it's a difficult job, but we are really doing well with that. And the last year, we took the low performing schools, 5, and we placed the resources in those schools and the best teachers, and those schools are no longer low performing. And because our superintendent believes in placing the funds where they should be placed, where the most need, and so that's where we are.
Wow.
And everybody's working together in the district, and we know that the brown and black students are the ones suffering the most.
Yes.
And the focus is there, and we're doing very well.
What advice would you give? Because we got a lot of the candidates that's running in your district. We got 2 of them. We got Queen Philly, and we also have the other guy that's running. What advice would you give to them if they take over the position?
Be a team player. Work with the other board members. You know, no one has all the answers. And be a good listener, and do not ignore your constituents. Remember, they will put you in the position, and they can remove you from the position. So you have to listen to your constituents, and number 1 is be for the kids. Whatever you do, consider the students. All your decisions. Is it good for the students?
Wow, that's amazing. What some of the students are saying about you?
Oh my! I have just boxes and boxes of letters they wrote to me for my last day of being a board member. I received so many accolades from all the students and teachers. It has just been a blessing to me. And over the years, I've received at least 100 awards, plaques and trophies. And for organizations to think that about you, I think it's really great. And I've always tried to be an example,
right?
And treat people the way I would want to be treated. And so I've always, like people say, well, you can't get in touch with a person. They have always been able to get in touch with me. I have always been accessible, and my telephone number is out there. Anyone can call me.
And you know what? I can vouch for that. I can vouch for that. I can vouch for that, Miss Moss.
Yes, and it doesn't matter what the need. I take all my own calls.
Well, so now that you're getting ready to leave the school district, what's gonna happen with you? What are you gonna do? Are you taking a trip? Are you going somewhere? Are you just just tell the viewers out there what Miss Moss gonna do?
I have it planned already. I'm gonna go to the gym and work out 3 and 4 times a week.
Wow.
Yes, and I'm gonna do some traveling, but I'll just hang out with my girlfriends.
Okay.
They attend Bible study once a week, or I want to do things like that. But I'm going to volunteer with our reading program.
Okay.
And I'm going to continue to help with reading because that's in my blood.
And you know what? Speaking of reading, I want to talk to you about this real quick too, because you guys got a partnership with the city of Fort Worth. Well, the city of Fort Worth every summer does a summer reading program. Let's talk about that.
Yes, well, see, we have the partnership now with Matt Rose, Betsy Price, our mayor, and Dr. Scribner, our superintendent. And everything in Fort Worth ISD